Welcome to a Traceable Products instructional video for the Traceable Excursion-Trac thermometer. In this video, we will learn how to open your data with Microsoft Excel, how to read your data, and how to filter your data in Microsoft Excel. Before we get started, be sure you have downloaded your data from your Traceable Excursion-Trac thermometer or Traceable Memory-Loc thermometer. If you need help with that, please refer to the Downloading Stored Data video. Click on this box and it'll take you to that video. Once you have your data ready, let's go to our computer to view the data. How to open your data with Microsoft Excel. Now that we're at our computer, let's insert the USB drive that we use to download our data. Insert your USB drive carefully into a USB slot. Once your USB is in, your computer should alert you that you've plugged it in, and it will give you options on what to do. In this case, we're going to click on Open Folder to view files. Once you click on Open Folder to view files, a window will open. There, you will see the file with all your data. Double-click on your file to open it. How to read your data. The first thing you may notice on your spreadsheet are a lot of pound signs or hashtags. Let's take care of these first. The first thing we'll do is click once on this area right here. This will select the entire sheet. Now, move your cursor in between column A and column B until your cursor turns into this double-sided arrow. Once it does that, double-click in that area. Once you do this, the pound signs will go away. What we just did is make sure all of our columns are wide enough to properly display our data. The reason the pound signs were there is because our columns were too small. Now, let's begin to read our data. The first area here is the alarm event data. This area shows you the last 10 alarm events that took place on your device. If you haven't experienced any alarms, then this area will not exist on your spreadsheet. In my case, this device has had plenty of alarms. The most recent alarm will be on the top row. In this case, the most recent alarm rang on August 14th, 2016. The oldest alarm occurred on August the 8th, 2016. To get a better understanding of these alarms, let's go through one of my alarm events together to understand what each column means. We'll read the latest alarm on the top. The first column is probe. This column says what probe detected the alarm. In this case, it was probe 1. The next column is temp, which is short for temperature. This area shows the set, high, or low alarm that was affected in this alarm event. On my thermometer, I have a set high alarm of 20 degrees Celsius and a low alarm of negative 50 degrees Celsius. Because negative 50 is shown here in our chart, this means that my probe 1 detected a temperature lower than negative 50 degrees Celsius. The next column is timeout. Timeout is the exact time my probe 1 detected a temperature lower than my set low alarm of negative 50 degrees Celsius. The next column is date out. Similar to timeout, date out tells you the day it was when probe 1 detected a temperature lower than the set low alarm of negative 50 degrees Celsius. In this case, it was August 14, 2016. The next column is time in. Time in tells you the time it was when the probe 1 detected a temperature that was back in range of my high and low alarm. In this case, it was 3:01 a.m. Our last column is date in. Much like time in, date in tells you the date it was when the probe 1 detected a temperature that was back in range of my high and low alarm. In this case, it was August 14, 2016. Now that we know how to read our alarm event data, let's move on to our temperature data. Temperature data shows you the data your thermometer has detected and stored since you last cleared the internal memory. There are 4 columns under the temperature data chart: P1, P2, time, and date. To understand this better, let's go through the last 2 temperature data readings. The latest row here is telling us that on August 16, 2016 at 9:58 p.m., our thermometer observed a temperature reading of 23.32 degrees Celsius on our probe 1, and nothing on our probe 2, because there was no probe 2 connected. The next row below that tells us that on August 16, 2016 at 9:57 p.m., our thermometer observed a temperature reading of 23.35 degrees Celsius on our probe 1. Probe 2 shows 0 because no probe was connected to probe 2. Now that we know how to read our data, let's learn 2 filtering techniques that you can apply in Microsoft Excel. These filters will allow you to quickly and easily see only the data you need to see. How to filter your data. If we begin to scroll down, we see that I have thousands of temperature observations saved under temperature data. This can make it difficult if we want to find a temperature observation under a specific date or date and time. Here's an easy way to filter for day and then day and time. Let's start by filtering for day only first. To do that, we're going to separate the data to its own sheet first. Start by pressing the plus sign at the bottom of your Excel window. This will create and move you to a new sheet. With that new sheet created, go ahead and click on the first sheet to return to the previous screen with your data. With your new sheet ready, we're going to move the temperature data in this sheet to the new empty one. Start by clicking on the word temperature data once. Then click and hold on the scroll bar on the right and drag it down until you get to the end of your temperature data. Once here, let go of the scroll bar. Now, hold the Shift key on your keyboard, and while still holding Shift, left-click here. This will highlight the entire temperature data chart. Now, let go of Shift and right-click inside the shaded area. Then click on Copy. Now, let's go back to the new sheet we made. It should be called Sheet 1. Click on it to enter it. Once you're there, right-click on A1 and a menu should appear. Click on Paste here. Next, move your cursor in between the D and E column here until your cursor changes to a double-sided arrow. And then double-click to expand the column to have your data fit. Now that we have our data in its own separate sheet, let's add some filters. We'll first filter by the date only. Click on column D to select the whole column. Then click on the Data tab towards the top. Then click on Filter. Once you do this, you'll notice a small box with the down arrow has appeared on your column D. This box is a filter. Go ahead and click on that box. From here, we can choose what we'd like to filter by. Start by clicking Select All to deselect everything. Now, we can choose the date we want to filter by. Let's say I want to view only the data from June 30th, 2016. Here's how you do that. Click on the small box to the left of 2016 to expand that selection. Then, go down to June and expand that selection as well. Here, find the number 30. And click on that box to give it a check mark. Now click OK. If you look at our data now, only the data from June 30th, 2016 is showing. Now that we know how to filter by date, let's filter by date and time. Click on the filter button above to clear all the filters. Then select column C and D. Do this by clicking on column C, then hold the Shift key on your keyboard and click on column D. This will select both columns. Once you do that, click on Filter at the top. You'll see now that there's a filter under each column. Let's go to column D again and filter by June 30th, 2016. Now that the date is filtered, we can now also filter the time. Click on the filter under the column C. Here, instead of selecting numbers in the checkbox area, we're going to make it easier by going to Number Filters and then clicking on Between. Here, we can choose a custom time period. For example, let's say I want to view the data between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. I'll type in 12:00 on the top row, and then 13:00 on the bottom row. Once you're done setting your time period, press OK. Now we have our data filtered by the date and by the time. Do you have any additional questions about your Traceable Excursion-Trac thermometer? Contact us directly by phone or email, and we'll help you with any question you have.